call the regular meeting of the Economic Development Commission to order at 6:59. First, everybody on the board would like to welcome our new members. Alan, Patrick, Matthew, glad to have you here.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Anybody have any questions for them?
Welcome.
I assume that we have no citizens to be heard.
No, Mr. President.
The next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. It's approval of the minutes of the regular meeting dated October 17th. Approval of the EDC fiscal year ending 2019 revenue and expenditure, balance sheet, and encumbrance reports dated November 8th. And approval of the EDC quarterly investment report for the quarter ending September 2018. Does anybody have any questions on those?
No.
If not, I'd entertain a motion to.
I motion we consent the agenda, items 3, 4, and 5.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Kathy, seconded by Stevie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. The next item is a presentation and discussion of an action on an agreement between Bird's Eye View and the EDC on production of an aerial HOLOTUS map to support tourism. Could I have a motion to discuss, please?
I so move.
I'll second.
Moved by Stevie, seconded by Kathy. Glenn, if you'd like to give a little background on this and get us started with the presentation.
I know we presented this item about 2 months ago initially, and Sarah was unable to attend that meeting. I believe she was in Kerrville? Oh,
Ooh, sorry to hear that.
okay, never mind, that was worse. So she's able to be here tonight to go over the presentation. I know she's got a slightly different one that she'll be handing out here in a minute. And she also brought a contract to go over, I guess, what our thoughts in prior discussions were, what the EDC's contribution could be to the map and what we would get in return.
Okay, I think everyone has a copy of one of her maps in
Go
their
ahead and pass out the revised one.
leaf on their packet, or two of their maps.
Yeah, I did provide samples of Fredericksburg and Bernie.
It'll have a PowerPoint as well as
I'm going to keep it.
Oh, yeah, right.
and
Good,
then a
thank
couple
you.
exhibits.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and thank you for seeing me.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Do you want to do the PowerPoint first?
If you would, we're actually on public access channels, so if you would stand by the podium with the mic, please. Or if you want this mic, you can have this and walk around. Okay.
Okay. So the map actually started 25 years ago in Fredericksburg by a flight attendant. If you're interested, this is what the map used to look like. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. So currently Fredericksburg is on its 25th year. Bernie is actually on its 14th. I just started sales about a month ago. And I am working on Comfort is finishing their map to be released in February of 2019, as well as a winery, brewery, distillery map of the Hill Country to be released next year in March. I actually grew up in Stonewall, small town girl, and from Stonewall, where I got the idea of the map was I was a Cisco sales rep, used to sell food in Fredericksburg for 8 years, and all of my customers had all the hotels. It was the only map they used when a customer asked where to go or what to do. It's nice because it's not a poly finish, so they can actually write on it. It doesn't smear. This one thing I did add when I reconfigured it is I decided to take the website into a whole nother direction. Can you pull the website up real fast? Please. included in somebody's, if they decide to advertise, they also get the option of being on our website. It's a real simple, I have them sign off on social media, so if I ever get chased down by Facebook or any of the social media guys, I've got the paperwork to cover me. So if you look, he's tried, okay, you can kind of see it. One thing that was mentioned in a perhaps partnership was if I could have all of Helotes listed. And so the thought is under my services, which you can't see, but it's on the far right-hand side, it's a wrench. All the services and everybody in Helotes would be listed there if they fell under services. Mind you, I can adjust this label to anything. It'll say dine, it'll say drink, shop, etc. Okay. So back to the PowerPoint, maybe? Initially, when I took the map on, I didn't want to do anything but the 2 towns that I had, but I have an overwhelming response from smaller towns because I'm able to work within their budgets. I just came back from Terlingua. Believe it or not, Terlingua is getting a map with Lajitas and Studi Butte. So just to show that I can take a small town and I can change it into something usable for anybody who comes to the town. Next page, please. Some of the added benefits with the map. Because I'm doing so much printing, for instance, Fredericksburg gets 210,000 maps. The Winery Brewery Distillery map I'm doing will get up to 300,000. I get a pretty big price break over at Levco. I'm also able to advertise with the chambers. If I become a member, I can put all the maps in all the chambers, visitors bureaus. I also entertain, I'm a big Rotarian, so I like any Rotary or any sponsored programs that help. Like if it's a fun run or if it's a bike ride, I stick all of the maps inside of those bags or the handouts. The map is also tailored to your area. So, for instance, you guys may not have trailheads, but you would have arts and antiques. You would have what to do, like nightlife. You'll have some nightlife, not tons of nightlife. But we could tailor the text boxes according to what makes the most sense in the town. You can do major events. In Bernie, they have a bunch of car events, so I tailored that map specifically for the car events. So it's moldable. I reprint every year. I update twice a year. And if anything, any change comes along, I obviously update and repost on the website. And then we take care of all the distribution. So in Bernie, I have about 120 destination points. I take it to all the concierges at the JW, up here at La Cantera, surrounding areas. Terlingua's map, for instance, is focused for being something that would be at like an REI. For you guys, we would do more music, so I would find, I mean, what's the place in Austin where you can, water or something? Waterloo. No, Waterloo, music producers and, you know, because T Country Floors is pretty ancient, old and ancient, sorry. So I think that covers that. Okay. So benefits of partnering with somebody like you guys as well as the chamber, which I will need Glenn's help for sure. The accuracy of the map. The promotion of Helotes as a hub. It'll assist with differentiating San Antonio versus Helotes, really create and define that line. Not only do I put the maps in businesses, I also have partnered with a lady who does all newcomer packets. So the maps would also go in the newcomer packets. And then, of course, partnering with the Chamber of Commerce. And then, in retrospect, hopefully it will increase heads and beds, and maybe in the future y'all can get a hotel here. So, what the customer gets. So I draw their building. Did you guys see that it was available on mobile-friendly devices on the website? Do we want to put it back? It's available. So if I make when I make the website, it's going to pop up and be user-friendly on your iPad, on your iPhone, on your Samsung, all across the board. Before, I was using the platform of Squarespace, which is what you'll find if you go there now, and the new one is to be released January 1st. And I did all the coding work, so in effect, if I decide to ever take it into an app, it's already done. That's the reason for that. They'll also get the social media. So if you're an Instagram follower and you go to my Bird's Eye View Maps Instagram following, you'll see the most recent post was one I did for Bernie. It lists 6 customers and what to do in Bernie for a day. And I like to do that because I have so many customers in a town. The best way to get them all on there and get somebody looking at them all at the same time is to be able to do it as a video feed, so. Maps also are available for handing out. I partner with all of the state parks. I'm also partnering with the national park. Would be nice if I could get more into there, but nonetheless. Gas stations I partner with, when I put the little gas symbol, I tell them I'll put the little gas symbol if they let me stock the maps in their place. See, did I talk about the text boxes? Y'all understand those little text boxes at the top if it says arts and antiques? That's what I call a text box. And then I'm, of course, creating the brand presence with the Bird's Eye View. And I know, according to Glenn and I's conversation, we had talked about y'all's logo being on it, so. So once the map is folded, it'll be in a rack size. So at the top, which y'all all have the map, there's the ads. So what we would do is take it to where it would double down and y'all would have y'all's logo at the front. So, I also provide racks for the maps. If I walk into a place and I see them scattered around and not neat looking, it's an embarrassment to me, so I provide racks. I actually partnered with, I don't know if I could do this in the school here, but one of the schools is using it as a trades program. So I provide the product and then give a small donation to the organization. And these guys are creating 50 racks to look the exact same. So, and then I also provide desktop calendars to all the hotels and the businesses that use the maps. So when they run out, they don't forget to call me. Next one. The reason why the map's so important is Google is not really accurate. Right now, if you go to Helotes, for instance, you'll see that the top-down image is correct, but the side image is about 4 or 5 years old. It's the same way in Comfort. It's the same way in all the small towns. Google doesn't spend the money on it, so, unless you pay them initially. Okay. Talked about the turnkey map, which is what the city would get. We'd also make sure that there's a history, events, and then we'll take care, the logo will be advertised throughout the state of Texas. And it's an opportunity to promote local businesses. And I've thought about, and we could do this with you guys, is combine it to where you would have all the ads that support tourism, retail business, and then also, because I'm doing this interlingua, is having a side where you have the services listed, so people that are coming to town, if they're new to the town, they have a list of all these people to call. Next one. So what I need from you guys, if possible, to assist in the initial cost to build the map. Main reason being is I have not too many irons in the fire, but if I were to wait this out, it would probably be another 6 to 8 months, and it would be past y'all's busy season, tourist season. And then, of course, aiding and proofing, making sure I represent as many businesses as possible. Next one. Oh, I got the next one. We don't need to go over this one, but y'all would get 60,000 maps. That's my number, and if you wonder where I get that number from, I take all the hotels in the surrounding areas, the bed and breakfasts. I'm almost on year 3 of the maps, so I've got pretty solid numbers of what people go through, and I base it off of also movement in the hotels. I'll ask them what their weekend percentage, or what their weekend numbers of guests are, and then during the week, gives me a good idea. These are some reviews. Okay, so this is the first draft, and there are tons of changes. Once the buildings are drawn, that's going to fill up really fast. And I have to leave one of the maps has to leave me with a little bit of extra spaces for text boxes, the key to be able to denote where there's public bathrooms, parking, picnic areas, parks, maybe dog-friendly areas.
I have a question for you,
Yes, sir.
if I may. This is the first time I've seen the MOU, but I noticed there is no fee in here. So never mind. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. This is the overside view.
Well, wait, I actually.
Oh, sorry.
There is no fee to the EDC for this, is that correct?
No,
Okay, so,
I just need some assistance to get the map built.
okay, so you're asking for a lump sum of either 6,000 or 10,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and can you explain where that would go? Or is it in your presentation?
This is kind of all of it. It's going to assist in keeping the price low for the end user, the advertiser, your tourists, your retail businesses, your service businesses. Those would be my first focus.
And so that is why under option one, which is in Exhibit B, if nobody's seen this, because I didn't know it was there, which is why option one is $365 for a single ad, and then option two is less because the EDC is contributing more. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And where is the distribution noted on here?
Do you want me to give you a list?
No. Where the number of pieces that would be created and distributed.
Oh, I didn't put it on there. Yours would be 60,000.
60.
Yes. And then the way that number is, I base that off of the local hotels, the surrounding businesses, gives me a pretty good rough count.
Okay, and you mentioned Terlingua. How big is Terlingua?
It's pretty tiny. I've got the map if you want to see it.
Big Ben.
It has I'll have a representation of 100 ads on it.
So how many businesses are in Terlingua? If you had to guess.
I didn't look at my prospect list. Probably Terlingua, Studi Butte, Lajitas, and then we're also including Alpine because we're creating a service side, so people that are moving to Terlingua know where they can get there if they want to go into water storage tanks, if they want to have platforms built. So between all of those, I've got about 120 on my prospect list. And the person who called me to do it 2 years ago actually cuts everybody's hair. So believe it or not, it worked. Yeah.
So, in other cities, what other cities have you've mentioned Fredericksburg, Comfort, all of them. Have those cities partnered with you in the same format that we're talking about here, or is it it just depends on the location?
Terlingua has.
Okay.
Terlingua, the Big Ben Chamber gave me $10,000. So we took, the initial price that I was going to be charging customers was $395, and so they were able to take it down to $295.
Okay. And then in the other cities, I would assume the ad prices are much higher.
Oh, yeah, Fredericksburg's is $695, and Bernie's is now $495. But when I sell it, I sell how much it costs them per day.
Yep.
So that's why Glenn and I had talked about the $365, because it's easy to sell $1 a day to advertise. So that's why I took the cut.
And the last question I have is, if the EDC decides to partner with you on this, would we be able to distribute these pieces ourselves as well, in addition to what you would be doing?
Absolutely.
Okay, because we have a lot of
Yeah.
parks, we have
Yeah.
places that we distribute the Helotes magazine already, so it makes sense, but.
No, that'd be awesome. That's help to me. Okay. So this is the overview side. It's going to have to change. When I get to the MOU, there's an exhibit that talks about some of the things you guys that Glenn had talked about that you guys would want. I don't know how to explain it without walking over there. Okay, is it on? Whoa, can you hear me? Okay. So, let's see. That road right there goes to Tapatio Springs. And
46.
on the Bernie map, It actually has from Tapatio Springs down to Helotes. It also has on the Bernie map to Helotes from this way as well as the Stagecoach Road. And then it also has to Helotes down from Camp Verde. So on my other maps, I've actually already noted you guys. This, it can change. I mean, use your imagination. It's not a to-scale map. It never can be and it never will be, okay? So this is 1604. It's a 16, so this would have to be pulled up. And then this is downtown, or the historic Helotes, and that can be pulled up. This is gonna be decreased. I'm gonna take this line and move it over. This is all on the changes I haven't done yet, so. And then, you know, I think Medina Lake is good because people like to know if they come, they go to Medina Lake, then they can stop through Helotes and patronize one of the restaurants. It would make a really good storyline when I do my Instagram posts, so.
Your name is Sarah?
Yes, sir.
Sarah, I assume that's Government Canyon, the white spot?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you would list the sites to see.
Yes, sir. Yeah, anything that you can do out there, if you can hike, if you can bike, if you can mountain bike ride. Yeah. Next one. Oh, this was when I was telling you guys how I denote on the other maps already, that if you go this way, so and so many miles to Helotes. Oh, this is the Bernie Main Street side. So it comes in two colors. And we'd have to pick y'all's colors. So we can pick them according to what the town, blue for sure. So maybe blue and green, whatever you guys think is gonna make sense. Blue and green looks really good.
When you say two colors, you mean like the Bernie map is kind of green in my eyes?
Yes, so Bernie map is gonna go from now on to purple because of the greyhounds and green. And Fredericksburg's blue and green, so y'all could skip over and be blue and green. Comfort's gonna be red also in theirs because that's what their wayfinding colors are, so whatever makes the most sense. And the good thing is I've been working on, the previous owners hadn't done it in CMYK or assigned each color, so we're having to go back to the old maps and do that so I can print the true colors before I print 60,000 maps, which is nice. Oh, there it's denoted again. But, yeah, there, that's good. Oh, take that off.
We can kind of go around the room here with questions if you want to. Start with Alan.
I do have a question. Glenn, you're apparently looking at something that we're not seeing, the proposal.
Oh, no, yes, let's pull the memorandum.
All right.
Yeah, everybody has it.
You've got it's a memorandum of understanding. You should have a copy.
There's an Exhibit A and B if you look on the back side of that one. Exhibit A lists what we get, and Exhibit B is the cost.
Okay, thank you. Now, explain to me again, you're coming to the city of Helotes looking for assistance for startup costs or cost of printing the map, if I understand correctly.
Yes, sir.
If we were to do that and the maps get printed and you start selling advertising, I assume,
Yes, sir.
then and what is that fee that is in here?
It's either 6,000 or 10,000 is what.
6,000 or 10. At what point in time does the city of Helotes recoup that?
We wouldn't recoup it.
We don't.
You don't.
You
To
don't.
draw a map and to do everything, the initial cost is around 40,000.
Okay.
It cost me 20,000 plus or minus to draw, do the research. Then I have to have a salesperson, which I'm pretty close to nailing down, and then the cost to print. So I don't have a lot of wiggle room. If I owned a restaurant, which would have been my next option, there's about a 7%. So that's where I sit. But in order to get this going a little faster, I need your assistance. Otherwise, it'll be a little farther down the road. But in exchange, if you go to Exhibit A, I think, I would hope that by bringing the map to this town and by doing some of the things that are needed to be able to let people know about Helotes, that you will gain business from it. It will drive business. I mean, the map itself in Fredericksburg is the only map that any hotel uses. It's the only map the Visitors Bureau uses. It's the only map the Bernie uses. I mean, call them up and ask them. I can give you all their phone numbers. I mean, I go over the map with them before I print several times. I mean, I'm working with the Comfort Chamber of Commerce right now, too, and they're just ecstatic because they know the power of it. It's got 25 years of worth, so.
Sir, the timeframe, if we say, yes, this is what we want to do, and we contract with you, and then I assume you have to go out into the field and start selling advertising.
Yes, sir.
So at what point in time would we end up with this?
So if I'm understanding correctly, you'd like to at least have it by May or April? Yeah, that's doable. Because yes, sir, since I've drawn already the basics, I've done the hardcore research. I have my prospect lists, working a little bit with Glenn and them, so that helps. Oh, not that one.
Pardon?
No, that one's 25 years old. That's the,
I understand that,
Oh.
but who gets the laminate?
oh, nobody does.
Okay, that's what I
I
thought.
did that to preserve that one. That's the only copy I have.
I have. All right, I didn't know when you said that, if say it's at a hotel counter, and then the lady behind the counter, the cashier says, oh, yeah, you want to go here, and she writes it on that and shows it to the person.
It's not a bad idea, but they'll pick those maps up and they'll use a highlighter. Has anybody seen the maps before? Okay.
I've seen them in other states as I travel around the country.
That's
They-
my
they are
my
very
competitor.
beneficial. I'm sorry?
It's my competitor.
Well, it must, I'm sure. But I did find them very useful, and I think they're a good tool for people coming into the city who've never been there before.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Let's go in order, Steve. Patrick?
Yeah, I have two quick questions. The first one is the social media piece. Are you using your own platform for social media driving business, or are you using the Helotes account? Or I'm not quite certain as to what you mean by social media.
So I have had it designed by 50 Foot Designs out of New Braunfels. They've done all the coding work. And so when you go to the initial page, it'll ask you which destination. If you drop down, you can go to Helotes, and then Helotes has their own site.
Okay.
And from
I wasn't sure
there,
if they were leveraging our city site.
yeah, you could, I mean, if you want to pay for the SEO and some of that stuff to boost it, I'd be happy.
That's where I'm going with this, is the SEO component of it.
Sure.
The second question, or back on the social media piece, I noticed that you had Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. What about Yelp?
Oh, nobody's ever given me a review yet. I never
So-
thought about it. I mean, I've thought about it, but I haven't.
Bars and restaurants here in Helotes, so that drives a lot of business. I'm one of those folks who does not carry maps or anything. Everything is through here in applications. So
Sure.
I'm interested in seeing what your plan was around something like a Yelp.
So in the
Helping
end,
businesses drive that
right.
awareness.
So the first answer to your question is sometimes, most people, not sometimes, a lot of people, even in my age, they'll use the map when they go to the hotel, and they'll use Yelp to then, okay, so have you ever been on your computer and you're trying to plan a vacation? It's really overwhelming. Wouldn't it be nice to have something right there that picks out who they like? And so that's a lot of people my age will say they do, is they use the map then to go to Yelp. Because Yelp can't always be correct. I mean, you can pay to get a bad review removed, unfortunately, nowadays. But
There's actually an app for that.
yeah, I know. So the second part is, because I paid to do the coding work for the event of using Google Analytics. So what'll happen is then once I'm able to, I can pull it through, and people can walk around, and as they're walking through, it'll ping where they're at. So it's in motion. If I get enough momentum, I'll be able to cover the cost, and it won't raise the price of somebody to advertise a year. So.
Second question is, I saw that you had noted events. Are you keeping up a daily calendar of events that are going on in Helotes?
Okay, so right now what we do for all the customers is I have a social media person that takes care of going in and seeing which customers make note of their events, and then they'll share to our page and put them in the spool. As of 2 months ago, when we had this conversation with my website designer, we were going to be pulling those events from Facebook into the website, but because of some of the issues Facebook had, and they've been having to tighten it up, we haven't been able to get there yet. I have a cousin that works for Facebook at the top, so she's saying what they're going to do is allow a sign-off, and then I'll be able to pull all those events from my Facebook page into my website. So, unless you know an answer.
No, I was just curious if you're using something like an iCalendar where you can actually use a public URL, and that would allow folks in Helotes to see what events are going on locally.
It would be something that would be nice, but I'm trying to keep my cost at a survivable point, so somebody who has a small business can afford to be on the map as well. So, if that's something you're interested, I would entertain it, and we could look at the price.
The last question is, you said that there was a mobile version of the map. Where would that reside?
So you want to know the URL, or?
Yeah, if it would be at the city of Helotes
It's www.bevmaps.com. It's mine.
or, okay, so I guess we could point to that site if we wanted.
Yes, sir. You have
local
access.
residents.
You can
Okay.
have access to it, for sure. I've got a few of the hotels that have it on there so that people can use it when they're, especially the ones that are planning a 200, 300-person convention. So,
Okay. That's it for me.
All right, thank you for your presentation. I got a few confirmations and just a question or two here. Just to confirm, you're going to distribute the maps? And then
yes.
Okay, and if we wanted to distribute some, we can get some and distribute out? All right, I was reading what, I thought I heard you say
Okay.
that, I just wanted to confirm it. Distribution points, if I heard that correctly, is based on your professional assessment? Or you're gonna
Of the number that I'm predicting for this town to use.
Okay. Is that going to be inside Helotes, or are you going to drop these around like some of the hotels that we know in the statistical metropolitan area? Okay.
And the concierge, they're asking for this stuff. They've asked me
Okay.
for a map of Helotes,
All right. Nice.
so.
And then before my time, the first meeting here, just to throw this out there, I don't know if it's appropriate right now, so if it's not, let me know. The two subsidy options that the vendor's presenting and the EDC budget allocation, has it been discussed prior to this meeting, where the funds are going to come from? And
This is the first formal discussion we've had.
This is? Okay,
Yes.
so there's no emails back and forth prior?
It would come out of marketing, because it's
Okay.
a marketing expense.
Marketing has, what, 35,000 something in there? Okay.
Yes, I believe so.
And your, excuse me, the option 1 and 2 on Exhibit B, is that your option, or is that sort of like the industry standard, or what you're gauging that you think the Helotes businesses might be able to afford?
I'm not really understanding your question. Let me think if I,
So, like, hypothetically, option 1, are you looking at Helotes and saying that one of their ad runs in your map, they pay you $365 a year, and that's kind of the gauge you have, and we're going to subsidize 6,000 or 10,000 based off of yours, or are there other options that you want to present?
no,
So
that's it. Otherwise, it just delays until I get more cash flow.
Okay. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Sure.
My, excuse me, my concern is about all our businesses. This first draft is basically just Old Town. And then the opposite side, as it's proposed here, basically is from SeaWorld to Fiesta, Texas.
Correct.
Okay, that is such a broad area that our businesses going south are totally ignored. And so, is it possible, well, first of all, I want to see all our businesses in there. I couldn't support it if if they weren't.
So do you know how many businesses you have, number-wise?
I don't,
Upwards of over 200
yes.
Okay.
And
that have CVOs.
basically from our Sonic on Bandera Road all the way down to the gun shop, which is just a little bit past El Chaparral Restaurant. And that, of course, would include Old Town. Ideally, what I would like to see is the two-sided map, because as it's proposed here, we're being asked to subsidize, my allergies are terrible, I apologize.
Mine will be like that tomorrow.
Anyway, we're being asked to subsidize from SeaWorld to Six Flags.
Well, I do want to make a comment there.
All right?
I built the map based off of that people come to Helotes, may be going to Six Flags. I can always take that off. I just drew it.
Well,
So there isn't, I mean, when I sit down with people, I don't just make the decision, I want you to be on my side. I want decisions to be made collectively, not one-sided, because what's the purpose of a map if it doesn't do what helps everybody?
well, that's true.
So,
But as it is right now,
Oh, it's of a different city.
No, I know, but
Oh, it's on.
basically, as it is now, a good portion, in fact, most of our businesses are not being represented.
Actually, part of this presentation in the Exhibit A, I don't have a copy in front of me, but it lists, it would include a listing of all retail businesses within the city of Helotes. And that's what most tourism, the point of the map, obviously, if it's going to be in hotels and other retail locations, it's people that are traveling or looking to do multiple events, going to floors, seeing historical markers, going to restaurants. And so part of the funding from the EDC would include listing all of our retail businesses on that
On the
map.
website,
That would be on
but
the
not on
website.
the map.
No,
Well,
on the
no.
map. And that's pending we can get it all in,
We're
because we've got
pretty
to
close.
see.
okay, so on the Fredericksburg map from the back, there's a total of 303 buildings. So if there's 200 businesses, the question is, is it going to do the best bang for your buck to list a termite company for a tourist coming to town or for a newcomer? I mean, so we can find ways to list it. I just don't physically see, as a graphic designer, that I can fit all that. I will come really close. I mean, between what Glenn and I talked about, I'd have to take this, so I'll show you so you can see, yeah.
But we've been battering that back and forth a little bit with Stan. And what we're thinking, what we could do is, rather than listing all 200 businesses in the city, there's no point in listing like a pest control company,
Right.
banks. Now, if you do have a symbol you can put on there for an ATM that shows where ATMs are in town for people. But you can limit your businesses you list to retail businesses that interact with the public. You don't need to put,
And
like
that's
we've got
fine.
a couple of insurance agencies, a brokerage firm, that sort of thing are not necessarily the kind of business we need to put on a day trip map.
Oh, absolutely.
And
That-
cut the number down to where it just, but I agree, we need to show from about El Chaparral down to
Sonic.
down nearly to 1604, where the city limits is down there, which
Yes,
is
sir.
going to be about 2.5 times the size of what you have on there right now.
That's fine. That's doable.
And we need to get it where I think we need to, this is primarily, well, in my mind, this is primarily a map for day trippers coming to Helotes. It's not going to be a big item to use to push in promoting property in Helotes, although it'll show what businesses are in there if you want to give that to a potential business that's coming in to look at. But we have a lot of other tools that we'll bring up later to show you what we already have on that too. I think we can make it work.
I like the
But
crossover.
The initial idea is to start up on this. A lot of the other cities are paying a lot more money than most of these businesses in Helotes can afford to spend.
And that's
A
understandable.
lot of the businesses, especially in Old Town and the small businesses, can't pay $600 for that ad to be on the map for a year. So trying to get it down to where they can afford it and go ahead and get the thing off the ground with some subsidy from the EDC for the first year, and then we'll have to see how it goes and see if we can go forward or what we need to do at that point. But I think it's something kind of like we've got that Google 360 map program we've done for all the businesses. It's been very well received. Every business in town basically is using that now. And this can be tied to that too, just that, if you want more information on this business, take the name and go to Google 360 and it'll show you the whole business and everything that's in it. So I think there are some ways we can make this very beneficial to the city. And we've thought about a lot of that already. This is the first meeting we've had, so we hadn't had a chance to discuss it yet. We're just trying to get all the ideas out there.
Well, that would work if you could include all the retail businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
All of the retail businesses that are affected by day trip traffic.
Now, just to throw this out, just so you're aware, in other maps, I don't allow people just to get named and drawn without paying, but this would be my trade out.
Yeah, normally there's,
Yeah.
some of the maps that people aren't listed unless they're put an ad in, right?
Yes, sir, or if they're on the waiting list.
Yeah. So we're kind of doing as a benefit to the city, and the businesses can get more exposure out of it if they want to by purchasing an ad in it too. Do you have any more questions,
Yeah,
Bill?
yeah, quite a few. Let's go back. We did discuss this a little bit 2 months ago. And we had one in Fredericksburg, was what, Bernie, Matt?
Yeah, that was just brought
Okay.
up after.
I
the
know,
fact.
and you have a blown-up view of the businesses within a city, whatever it might be, on one side, and then you have a larger geographic picture of where the city resides within a county or whatever you want to say.
Yes.
On the other side, right?
Yes, sir.
That's the principle behind it. Let's talk about the one where it's a blown-up view of the businesses within the city. Now, the one that's got the big blown up with the buildings and their names on it.
Yes, sir.
It was brought up at that point in time that if a business was there, like Crafton East or whatever, this Red Baron's Antiques, you only got your name and error on your building if you bought an ad. Is that right or wrong?
Nowadays, you get your name on your building if you pay for an ad. Yes, sir.
You only get on the map, you only get your name identifying your place of business if you buy an ad.
For those, but if you are a municipality, if you are a school, if you are a nonprofit.
Well, okay.
Who else do I list? If you're a historical point that needs to be on there and referenced, I draw those because,
But an individual
correct.
restaurant, filling station, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Will not get their name on their building unless they buy an ad.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, are the ads on the blown-up side come from that map or the total geographic map on the other side?
So far, I've been really lucky to have all the businesses that are on the Main Street side, on that side, and on the flip side, overview on that side. In all the towns, there's a nice balance, and I don't know why.
Okay, now, let's go over to the proposed map on the Helotes.
Yes, sir.
And what was brought up before is if you take the picture that you've got here on the Helotes map, which basically is Old Town, you go broke there with the mathematics, because there's not enough businesses in that area, number one, to generate revenue to pay for this thing, okay? Number two, we're giving priority to a part of the city, which should be the whole city, not just a part of the city. And like Pat was saying, it should be from the gun shop or El Chaparral all the way down to the southern boundary of the city, should be on the blown-up side of the map. Okay, that has to be on the blown-up side of the map. Just like you've got here, you're going to generate enough customers then for an advertising base. You can't do it from just the residents
Right.
in Old Town, plus like Pat said, the size of the businesses in Old Town are not going to be able to pay that kind of fees.
Okay, so that's why I've thought that doing the services would be a good idea, because you would take the services that are in the town for a newcomer, and you would put that in addition to those ads on what I call the Main Street side.
What do you mean by services?
So we had talked about the retails as well as services. So for instance, if there's a real estate agent, if there's, who else have I put on there before? Anything that helps a newcomer to a town. I sell ads to them.
Doctors.
Yeah, yes, sir. I like to have a wellness clinic. I have that number on there too. And it fills it up. I've filled it up with the businesses already. Now, whether they'll all buy an ad, that's why I'm coming to you to keep the price at an affordable level that they'll all be able to buy an ad.
Okay.
I can, if you want something a
What
little.
was brought up was discrimination, basically, in, if it's going to be the city of Lotus, you should represent, you should put the city of Lotus on that map, blown up. Okay? Now, it might not be, the buildings might not be this big, but you would be from up here at El Chaparral down there to the new strip center and, you know, the car wash and everything else. That's the city of Lotus. Now you're going to get enough base of people, and when you give it out to a Lotus, they're coming and they'll see everything that's in a Lotus. And if the car wash wants to give you an ad, then they're going to get their name on the car wash building. If Charlie wants to give you one for up at El Chaparral, you're going to put his name on the building.
If a map is so designed that all it has on it is services, why not go to the
No, wait a minute,
Chamber
no.
of Commerce?
Okay.
The idea is to create a map that's fun and
You're going to have to
entertaining.
define services again. I really can't understand.
Okay, so when you have the overview side, Medina Lake, would that be something you would not want to include, or something you would want to include
Name of the company?
Medina Lake?
Dana Lake.
Would that be something you would want to include so people would go have a day trip
Oh,
and
no, I
then come
mean,
back
we
to
don't
the
need
end?
Medina Lake on the blown-up view of the city. It's not in the city. We don't have any lakes in the city.
Well-
We don't have any ponds in the city.
Oh, Bill,
I'm
we're
talking-
talking about, with us doing the subsidy with it, the map would probably look more like this example. It's not gonna have the buildings on it. If we put the whole
Wait,
city.
wait.
If we put the whole city in, we're not gonna have room.
We should
to
have.
put all the business, the buildings on the map.
What buildings you going to put on the map?
You won't have any map. You'll have buildings. You'll have a location,
Okay,
the road.
you're not going to have, all the other maps have got buildings of the people. Now, Lotus is not going to have a map, it's just going to have the names along the streets.
Oh, no, I have to draw the buildings.
What?
I have to draw the buildings.
You have to draw the buildings, sure, yeah, that's what I thought. So
They'll
you're
be
going to
very
have,
Small.
they're going to be very small.
Like
but-
this.
but- Yeah, but here, okay, now that's
Yeah,
that's the big map.
right,
Now, on the big map, you're not going to,
have all of it.
you're not going to have all that.
Right.
Citizens. But on the small map,
Right.
you got to offer it
Yeah,
to the city of Lotus companies, whether they're doctors or profit, nonprofit, they should have, they're going to have you're going to have to offer them an opportunity to take an ad out, identify their building with their business name.
So could we do it in phases?
What?
Could you do it in a phase? For instance, Phase 1, you could say is offered to the tourist-driven businesses and retailers. Phase 2 would then be perhaps your services. And Phase 3, if not all those ads are sold, could be offered.
What's going to be the difference in phase 1, 2, and 3?
Well, because the main purpose is you're creating and using your marketing money in the EDC to be able to fund a map that gets tourists into this town.
Okay.
And helps them figure out what to do in their day, because they're day trippers. I definitely want to have a tire changing place, because somebody could,
You said, it was said that there's 200 base businesses in Lotus. Now, where is that from? From Chaparral down to the car wash?
Everything in the city.
Everything in the city is 200. Okay, now you said something about listing those names?
well, in addition, we're going to try to draw them all, which is,
What?
we're going to try to draw them all. And the good thing is you have a lot of them are in strip malls, so that'll help eliminate the space that you have between one building and the next building. So the possibility of getting all those to fit, Glenn and I are going to work on that, and we're going to do our darndest to make that happen.
So on the big map, that would be the
No, wait,
entire
wait,
area.
wait,
She'd
no,
get all the
okay,
buildings.
You want to talk about the blown-up map or the big map?
The big map.
Big
She's
map.
saying on the
Talk
big
about the
map.
big
That's the map that gets handed out.
Big map.
Yes,
I was
that's the
looking-
map that goes to tourists.
I
That's
was
the one
looking
that
at
they
The
use.
small map. I'm concerned about the small map, not the big map. Not the one with SeaWorld and,
Oh, overview.
1604 and
Okay.
all that stuff. I'm looking at the one,
Okay.
that's City of Lotus.
Well, we
the
would
city
have
of Fredericksburg,
space, yeah, we'd have space to list every
not the
building.
city of Lotus.
Right.
Okay, that's the only one I'm talking about right now.
I don't think, okay, so I understand what you're saying. You're saying to take that Bandera Road all the way down to what?
I didn't understand.
From
With the map,
Charlie's
I can't
to
understand.
the gun shop.
I've tried drawing this map other ways. This is the only option I have available to be able to make it work.
Bill, on the big map, the goal is to physically draw every building in Helotes and
Yeah.
list the names of the businesses on the big map.
On this map over here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it's not going to be drawn to scale.
Oh, well, I know that.
Helotes gets blown up in the middle and everything else kind of gets shrunk down.
On the big map,
On the big map, yes, sir.
you're gonna have the city of Lotus,
Yes, sir, with all of the
and
Helotes
SeaWorld
businesses.
and
Yes, sir.
1604 and all that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
Okay. And then you're gonna list the cities where?
This is detailed on the other side.
Huh? Yeah, that's exactly what, that's what, same thing I'm looking at. Okay, now, okay, so on the big map, okay.
On the big map.
Big map, you're gonna have,
Physically have every business, every strip center, every building in Helotes
Okay.
on the big map.
Okay.
With their name, that's the goal.
on
Now,
the
until
big
the
map.
graphic
I don't
designer-
see how you're gonna get it on the big, get it on there.
It's the way things are scaled. It's not going to be drawn to scale.
Understand that.
So, and that's the graphic designer's responsibility. If he can't do
Okay,
it,
and
he'll
where are you
come
gonna
back
put
to
all the
us
names? Spot them all over the map,
in their location.
in their possible location. Okay,
The alternate way to do it,
okay, now,
if there's not enough room, is to put a number and then have a
Okay.
list.
A legend.
big map,
Right.
SeaWorld to I-10,
Hmm.
okay? Big map, City of Lotus, 200 names, okay? Big map, that's the big geographic,
And can we call that overview for me?
which map do you call that?
Overview?
Overview map.
It's mainly, most of the times, the overview's a county,
Okay, okay, I got you.
so.
200 names, 200 buildings, City of Lotus. City View, what do you call that?
Main Street.
Main Street, okay.
It's a main view.
What goes on Main Street for Lotus?
All of your downtown historic Helotes. Historic Helotes, from El Chaparral all the way down to, what is that? Outdoor, it's music, burger place. I think I have them at the very end, on the other side.
Now, that's,
Bobby J.
that's.
It's predominantly Old Town Helotes would be
Yes.
the Main Street view.
Because you guys advertise old-time Helotes everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I vote against that any day of the week. You're discriminating against the citizens and businesses of Lotus if you don't put their name and their building on a city map.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's
Okay, I'm
it's a
just-
marketing purpose for
that's-
tourism
Okay?
and bringing more
That's what
money
you've
to
done
the.
with, you've done that with the other cities.
I have not listed all of them. No, sir. It's impossible.
Well, you've got all these cities here. If you went down just half size, you could get that on there.
You're telling me that I've listed all the businesses
No, I mean.
on Fredericksburg's
no,
map?
I'm not saying all of the businesses. You got the
Okay.
main portion of the,
That's just the tourist area of Fredericksburg.
okay.
I think just the concept of a tourist map is a little hard to swallow.
I understand this, but when I see this, it's strict, okay. You put these people on there in Old Town Helotes. And you're gonna ask them for advertising, right? This clientele of a business is gonna have a hard time paying for it, okay? And then second, you're giving priority to a certain part of the town, which is by far got the least revenue of any part of town in Helotes.
I'm going to try to ask for money, so I guess I would have to agree to disagree, so I'm sorry.
All I have to say.
Yeah, we can work it out to where we
Sure.
have a map on one side that shows whether all the buildings there or not, gives you a representation
Yes.
of the city limits from the north to the south. Not the actual city limits, but we've got 3 or 4 miles north of Helotes, we have nothing but right of ways.
We
out in the
Right.
don't
city.
want that on there.
That will show that with the businesses on it. Now, we may, if we need to, when we get down to it, not put like doctor's offices on there and put businesses
What if he
that are
wants to
not-
give you an ad?
Well, if he wants to give an ad, he can get his name on there.
I don't say no to anybody that wants to give me money for an ad.
We're talking about making this primarily for the day trippers, for a marketing draw for tourism, not for somebody to come into town that is looking for a doctor's office. If they want to look for, if they know where a doctor's, all they got to do is get this,
Okay.
Google a doctor's office
What
to find
about,
it.
you have the big view, and you have all the businesses, the 200 businesses
Now,
listed,
that
and their
will end up,
names.
that'll end up being on the small view map. And then the big view will not show, like, there's not room on it to show. It'll
Yes, sir.
show-
She said that, she
Now,
said,
Well, what we're talking about doing is make this map all of Old Town, all of Old Town and Pelosi.
that's what this proposal is,
Right,
right?
this smaller, then it'll be changing this to all of Pelosi. And this side will be a modified version of what we had in here. I don't know that we want to go all the way to Medina Lake and to I-10
Okay,
and
but that's the
Vernon
one
and
that
all
she says the names of the 200
No,
businesses.
they'll have to be on the other side.
She said a minute ago that
I
on
couldn't
a
support that
large map,
No, it was if I had to fill up some spaces, I would fill those up with services like
where are
real
the
estate
200 names
agents.
of the businesses in the Lotus going on, which map?
I have to first get the names, and then I have to, when you draw a map, you have to drive around a lot. You have to get lists. This drawing was specifically drawn off of the tourist retail businesses. I do not have a list of all of y'all's businesses in Helotes. I'd have to get that and then finagle and play around with the roads and yada, yada.
Okay, so which map does your list of businesses is going to be shown?
Well, you'd probably put it on the overview side because that's where most of those businesses are going to reside.
The overview side?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then over here on the
Main Street.
Main Street view, there's no names on there on the first edition?
Why would there be no names?
You don't have any ads?
No, I'm going to, the map is going to look very similar to that, which means you're going to be selling ads around it as well as drawing and labeling. You're
So
going to
the first
put gas
publication
stations, you're going to
is
put
gonna, after you
parking.
sell enough ads, or between now and May, or whatever you said, to get the ads on there, and those names will go on here, but it's only gonna be for Old Town.
No, sir. Flip it over. I'm going to sell Las Palapas is going to buy an ad.
Okay.
There's people, I mean, you've got a coffee company that's going to buy an ad that's in Helotes, that's down there in the strip mall, that's close. I've got Bill Miller's going to buy an ad.
No. That's
mean-
not going on the detail map.
Well, if I have to do the map by myself without the help, I will. But it won't happen for a very long time. So,
Proposal of detail map is that right there, which is Old Town.
This was just for presentation.
I know,
for us to
but,
start discussing.
okay, well, we're discussing it.
Yeah, so we're pretty well agreed, we're talking about putting the whole city on this detail.
Okay, that's
And it'll
fine.
have the
That's all
business-
I'm after.
It'll have the business names.
That's all I'm after.
Pat,
But if you have a detail map, and it's from El Chaparral down to the car wash, you put all the names on there, you've done away with the necessity or the advantage of buy an ad and I'll put your name on there. You already got the name on there, and now you're trying to sell the ad.
trying to get you guys more people in the town so y'all can make a little bit more money. Maybe get a Hampton, get some other stuff in here would be good.
Okay.
That's what I'm focused on.
but this
maybe-
corporation is charged with promoting all the businesses. And
So we're going to make sure that comes on the website, and like Glenn said earlier, he and I are working on drawing all those in.
okay, but you're talking about the big map, not, I mean,
Detail map is gonna have all of Helotes on it.
it will not
Yes,
just be,
it will not just be Old Town.
That's what he's saying now. That's what he's saying.
Okay, can
Where
I,
it gets faded in on the overview side where it says
can I
on the
come
other
in here and
side.
just
What
ask
Pat's
clarifying questions that I
saying
think will?
is
Yes.
not what
This,
it's.
that was just for an
I-
example.
Okay, I would
okay.
like to ask some clarifying questions, because I think that that'll clear up what the proposal is. They may not like the proposal, but
Yes,
at
sir.
least they'll know what the proposal is.
Thank you.
On one side, my understanding is on one side of the map, your plan would be to include the entire city of Helotes
Yes, sir.
and list all of the existing businesses that we have within the city of Helotes.
Yes, sir.
Around on that same map, you would also sell ads to perhaps those that are along Bandera Road, or anybody could buy an ad around the outside, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's just one side, is the entire city of Helotes. The other side, and what I mean, I think we've all seen other cities do, is draw attention to just Main Street.
Yes, sir.
That's what they do in Bernie with the Hill Country Mile, which is just Main Street between River Road and the Long Branch, but a lot of people don't know where the Long Branch is. I live in
That
Bernie,
old
so.
saloon.
The other side would just be Old Town and the areas around, or the businesses that are generally within Old Town.
Yes, sir.
And on that side of the map, you would only put their names on the map if they buy an ad on the building themselves, correct?
Not only the addition to it, if you guys give me the money, is we would focus on trying to get all the businesses that are in Helotes drawn and labeled. That's the trade-off, where I normally charge $195 a
Yeah,
customer.
no, I understand. So we would be giving you money to subsidize a portion of the ad cost in the hopes that these people would come in and put their building on the map and actually have their name on it,
I
correct?
actually may sabotage myself by drawing the building and labeling it, because they may not want to buy an ad. So I'm taking a risk.
So, for clarification, you're on the other side, the Old Town side, you would be drawing the entire streetscape, and you would be labeling those buildings regardless of whether they paid for an ad or not.
No, I'm going to draw the buildings that buy an ad and label them. And then if there's a building that needs to be there because you wouldn't know where the next building is, if it were like, if you saw a palm tree and the palm tree's right across from an airport and you're driving in the middle of nowhere, I would draw the palm tree so you know to turn right there where the airport is. So sometimes you'll see on the map, there'll be a building and there'll be
That's
nothing
right.
on
There's
it.
several.
Okay,
Yes.
so on the other
Right.
side of the map, you're drawing the streetscape, but you are only labeling the building if they put an ad in, if they buy an ad.
Correct.
Okay, and then you'll have advertising around the outside, the frame of that, correct?
Correct. In addition, don't forget that we're going to try and label all of the businesses in Helotes. So we're going to be
The opposite side of the
on
map.
all, if it's a business in Helotes that's not going to pay for an advertisement and they're on the main street like your Old Town, I'm still going to draw the building and I'm going to label it because you guys are going to help me out.
So you're planning on having the list of businesses within that map area on both sides of the map, regardless of whether they
Well,
pay
not-
an ad or not?
That was,
If we sponsor.
Yes, if
I'm
you
talking-
sponsor.
That's
Yes.
included in the proposal, is we're
Yes.
sponsoring you.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, one side is the entire city. It has ads, it has streetscape, it lists every business. The other side is Old Town, it has streetscape, it lists every business, and it has ads around the outside, correct?
Yeah, yes.
So the fundamental question for this body is, at least in my opinion, is whether they want to have an overview map and also another side that just focuses on Old Town. I mean, that's the first question. I understand that some may disagree with that, but I would think that would be the starting question of
I see what you're
of where we
saying.
go.
Basically, we got three maps. You just got through saying there's three maps.
There's two maps. There's Old
No,
Town
I know
on
what
one
he's
side.
saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
I
go
get
back
it.
to your first proposal, which I thought, you got the city view from Chaparral to the car wash. Okay?
Yes.
On that one. On the other side, you got similar to the.
From Chaparral to car wash, are you referring to the new car wash, the
new
washed
car
up?
wash, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, or somewhere in that area.
The overview of the city.
That's it, that's on the one. On the other side, you got what's projected here, same type of graphics and everything, but just of Old Town.
Of what they consider Main Street,
Okay.
yes, sir.
That's option one. If I'm in Drury Inn, and I pick up a folder and start looking at it, I have no way of knowing how to get to Helotes, Texas.
That's why I have the 1604 SeaWorld and
No, no,
Fiesta
no, no.
Texas
You
drawing.
don't have 1604 in his maps.
No.
His maps have no 1604.
No, okay, I think.
You're
that-
right.
I
His
think-
maps, no, which is why we'd have to have them, because to get the maps in those hotels, to get them to Helotes, you have to include them. Because if they're included, and a person asks where to go, that's when they use the map. That's when it
He just-
utilizes it.
The first option he gave were two maps. front of Lotus, city limits, other side, Old Town.
That is,
No
that is.
1604.
No, I did not, no, sir, I did not say no 1604. They will need to include 1604, Hausman, those sorts of roads for exactly what you're suggesting, for people to be able to get here. It's just going to be cartoonish. It's not
Yes,
going to
there you go.
be,
They're all
Perfect.
it's
cartoonish.
not going to be to scale.
Yeah.
But businesses that are fronting 1604, that are not in the city of Helotes, would not be indicated on the map.
Right, okay. How many drafts of this do we get to look at it normally? What's,
So I've done, of Helotes, 6 drafts already.
couple drafts?
6.
You know, 6
By the
drafts?
time I'm done, it'll probably be like 20, 25.
And back on the fees, once we pay the fees, is that the first year fees, and that's the limit of the EDC's or the City of Lotus's
That's all I need.
contribution?
That's all I need.
After that, it's sustained by by the advertising,
Yes, sir.
okay?
After that, I can pay myself.
And the contract's for how long? 1 year?
That's for 1 year for me to promise to make sure we do all that for you.
Okay, and on the second year, there's no fees to the city?
Not unless you guys wanted to do it again, but
But I
it's,
mean, if
it's,
you want to continue the map or update the map, say, 13th, 14th month out, now there's a cost, there's additional cost for that.
no, sir, that's, the ad sales pays for that.
The ads will pay for that.
Yes, sir.
And that's a year,
That's
year to
yearly.
year to year.
Yeah, the main difference in a cost is really just drawing the map.
Right, right.
I
understand.
mean, you're always going to have the cost of paying a salesperson, paying for the print, the distribution, the social media. Those are very steady numbers. So it's really just the cost of building it.
So basically, in your payment financial statement, Exhibit B, option 1 and 2, the only difference is the amount of upfront monies we pay,
Yes, sir.
and then that is prorated back to what the proposed businesses is going to pay for their ad strip, right?
Yes, it's, I find after 2.5 years, there's certain numbers that customers won't swallow.
Okay. So basically, it's, our decision is what do we want the businesses to pay for an ad?
Yes, sir, exactly.
Okay.
And if you decide that you want them to pay less, you can always give me more.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think we've covered,
Me, Kathy.
Oh, sorry.
She's got a whole bunch of questions on her.
Let's go back to option A. No, I'm kidding. Let's hound this some more. I thank you very much for putting up with us.
Oh, no worries.
We're just trying to get everything in.
No, and
All
it
right.
makes me think different angles when
Yes,
everybody
it
asks
is,
different
and
questions.
a lot
so
of
it's okay.
perspectives and a lot of different views and bird's eye view.
Right, right.
I really thank you for listening to all of us. I know it's tedious, but it's okay. I like what you have, and I like where we're going with it, and I like that we get to see it a few times before we say yes. I understand the monies are up front, but we do want to see it as it progresses through,
Absolutely, no problem.
okay? And that way, we can change things as needed.
I would expect you to do that.
And that's all,
Yeah.
I really,
I
I
need
think
your
every
help.
question's been asked and
Yeah.
been, it's not gonna, I think it's a great thing. I love them. I love these maps. And when I go to Bernie or Fredericksburg, I don't know what's on it and what's not on it and what's missing, I don't know. But we know what's in Helotes. We know what we want here, so that's it.
I do have one follow-up quick question. I know that you mentioned earlier that you were printing out 16,000 of these.
Did you say 16 or 60?
60.
16.
60, 60000.
Right, so you're printing out 60,000?
Yes, sir.
60, okay. 60,000 of these. As time goes by, year 2, year 3, and this is sustainable and you're bringing in the ad revenue, are you doing anything to leverage that and balance it as to if demand increases more than 60,000? Are you going to factor that in?
Right now, I may not have to do it for a while because print costs and ink costs and all just went up. So I factored that into this price because it went up by 20%. I mean, it's just going to change according to what happens. And normally what happens is I pass that cost on to the customer. And I've never had, knock on wood, Somebody say they don't want to be on it with an increase because they realize the worth of it, that it does help their business,
Okay.
so.
And you're updating it twice a year?
What I'll do is I'll have my list and I'll go back and see which businesses are all getting the first round, and I'll print pretty close to that number, so it could be 20,000.
Right.
And then if something, which it always happens, something right after I print comes up, and then I'll make the changes, I know. And then, yeah, so I will update. Sometimes it's even 3 times, it just depends on how many I print. And Lubco's really good about working with me.
Yeah, I was just curious because I saw that you had events printed out on here also, so,
Oh, you'll get all that. So all your events for the entire year will be listed under, it'll take up 8 ad spaces all the way down. And whatever's most important, I use what the chamber has. I use, what events are going on at the park, the Cornivall, your Fiesta Metal events. Those will all be listed on there too. So,
okay, thanks.
sure.
Okay, I think we have still a little bit of confusion on which map's going to show what. Okay, I'd like to present 2 options here for us to consider. Number 1, we have an overview map that shows the whole area, and we'll designate Old Town and some other areas on that map where it goes out far enough to show people how to get to Helotes. And then the overview map will be one map that shows all of Helotes from El
Main
Chaparral
Street.
to the car wash.
That's
And
Main
have the
Street.
names of all the businesses on there, maybe not all the businesses. If we've got some things in there that are like a concierge doctor's office that's only open to people that are members, any business like that doesn't need to be on there. It needs to be more focused on day trippers and bringing the people into town that this is designed to draw into town. Or we can do the other one. That way you can go to 1604, get to your relevant intersections. SeaWorld, Fiesta, Texas are the 2 most relevant ones. When you go to Bandera, there's not much relevance to go to Bandera because you're going to a town of 1,000 people. You go to I-10, where you'll draw the most people on that one side, or we can do it, like Rick was saying, where we have a detailed map that just has Old Town on it, which I don't think's necessary, and then have the overview map where you have all the businesses in town listed on that, and then just have like arrows showing to go to these other places is all you're gonna have room to do. You're not gonna be able to include that map. I think that having 2 maps with all the names on it, an overview and a area map is overkill. And I don't see the necessity of having a map just of Old Town. I have to agree with Bill and Stevie on that. That is, we need to promote the whole city, not just Old Town. Old Town is nice, and it's a tourist area, and it's actually, traffic in Old Town has more than doubled in the last 2 years. It is getting more traffic, and this will help get it more traffic. But we need to give her some direction on what we want to start out with the maps with.
Why do people come to Helotes from San Antonio or from Houston? What is their main draw to come to Helotes? Pardon?
Floors Country Stores,
Yeah, the
and
Old
once a
Town.
month, the market days draws a tremendous crowd.
And they're all both of those are in Old Town.
Right.
So, shouldn't we be promoting
And we
Old
have-
Town, because that's the draw to
Well,
come
we
in
have
here? Nobody's gonna
all
come
the
here.
events at the Carnival Fair, grounds too. They have something once or
All the
twice a
time.
month, normally all year, and some of them are big draw events.
But that would show up on the overview, Sarah, is that correct? Yes. The fairgrounds?
I believe, if I'm looking at this right, I was seeing if there was some way for me to finagle the drawing to have I guess I could have it come off of Riggs Road and then off the other road and over here to the left, but that may be confusing.
Yeah, it's right across from the high school and the elementary school off of Hausman Road, down the other side of,
Yeah.
it's a half a mile from Old Town, back south towards 1604.
Just a thought, you actually brought this up, or made me think of this. If people are having to look on the other side, then they're looking at all the other businesses in Helotes and not just Old Town. So you could be spreading, whereas before, everybody only thinks of Old Town. only thinks of Flores Country Store. Now you're advertising Corny Ball, whereas it really wasn't advertised because everybody wants to go to Forest. So you're really reaching, I mean, it'll reach elsewhere. The fact that it's going to be in hotels, I can't do this unless the hotels have them. The hotels and the Visitors Bureau go through the most of these, as well as whatever I put in packets. I mean, and then they're the ones that will get people here. So,
I don't know if we need to have a vote on this or just come to consensus and let
And I was going to just mention one thing.
letting her know which direction to go with it so she can start if we're gonna do it.
I was going to mention one reason to have just Old Town on a map too. It is to have some negative space to put the events and everything, all these text box.
I have to have
listed.
negative space.
Yeah, because without the negative space, then you can't list all the events and all these other things because you'll take away all the advertising.
Yeah, it's a balance. That's why I like one side being busier and the other side calming itself down. You can see the key, you can see where public parking is, public bathrooms.
And you'll have all information, like on floors, they'll have what's on their historical marker would be listed in a text box by having the negative space.
Yeah, I came up with a really cool historical marker. It's got the old, like, when you pull to the side of the road and you see the historical marker, it looks like that, and then it has a star in the middle.
One, okay, I didn't mean to interrupt, but one thing I would suggest or make a comment on, it is as to who advertises and who doesn't advertise, who you go to get advertisements, who shouldn't be advertised, who should advertise. That should be a no-limit operation. If a doctor, private doctor wants to advertise and give you $365,
I'll take anybody's money.
put his name on it, forget about it.
I'm with you.
If you got a secret society or something that's illegal, you're not gonna put it on there. But if somebody is in business,
sir.
nonprofit or profit, any kind of business, they ought to have the opportunity to give you an ad, put their name on their map.
I have nothing against that.
Discuss it. Anybody that you go to,
Mm-hmm.
we'd like to have you advertise. And they say, well, I'll advertise it. It's open to anybody
Yes, sir.
who wants to advertise.
Yep, it's open to anybody.
Okay.
I still feel very, very strongly about the fact that, again, we are committed to promoting all the businesses. And so many of the businesses that are not in Old Town are complaining about all the attention being given to Old Town and neglecting them. So I would really like to see the main map include from the gun shop next to El Chaparral all the way down to the new car wash or Sonic.
Yeah.
How far down is that? How far down is that past here?
A little bit south of Corny Fest.
Can I ask a question?
It wouldn't all fit.
The
You talk
vote,
about a mile and a half?
Yeah, it won't all fit. I can tell you that right now, in my head, there's no way it could fit. We're gonna represent everything. It's gonna look good, trust me. It's gonna look good.
But I agree with,
so the question, once it's called, is to vote on going forward with the MOU, right? And then the details, the minutia, the graphic designer can work out as we go, whether it's gonna be some version of Main Street or a larger Helotes, maybe, like Pat said, get an arrow. Everybody knows where 1604 is because you're stuck on it for 30 minutes. So, some of these things, and I'll just throw this out there. So, thank you. I own a marketing agency, and I know what you're going through because graphic designers get hit really hard. My opinion with this, because I've heard other opinions, so I'm just going to throw it out there, is that as a test, as a beta test, to see if the map takes off, something has to be done. Peak tourism season's probably going to kick up for Helotes, and correct me if I'm wrong, sometime around spring break time prior to that. So production's going to be complete prior to that, and we'll be handing these out. I'm a HOA president. We wanted to do something similar to this, but I got 500 homes we can hand it out to. That's another idea, because as a marketer, what I'm looking at is that she's basically doing $1 a day, and the next 2 months for me, I'm gonna lose hair, because I have clients who spend tens of thousands of dollars on Google. So for me, when I look at this, another question I got on your website is, are your links to these businesses rel or no follows?
Yeah, the URLs are going to be linked, so if you hover over the name of the business, their ad will pop up, you click on it, and it takes them to their business.
The actual website direct, is it gonna be a rel follow, meaning you're sending the signal to Google? I'm a SEO guy.
Oh, well, I'm not. So
So
let's,
regardless, so there's a link on there and it sends a small signal to it, so for $1 a day, if I get any clients, this is part of the marketing mix that I would say, if we have too much negative space and you're a doctor, for $365, yeah.
Bet.
Compared to everything else that I gotta put them on, it's a start, and it sounds like you're willing to adjust and work. And thank you, sir, for the question earlier about, are we going to pay for this again with the subsidy? So
it's expensive to draw maps.
that's,
There's,
for me right
yeah.
now with the discussion, I just wanted to draw attention to that if, once the question's called, it's on the MOU and all the details and minutia are with the graphic designer. And I'll tell you, we've done projects that last up to 8 months because of colors, things like that.
Right,
So.
normal.
Thank you. Any other questions? I can leave my card with everybody, or my number's on the map, as well as my email. I always tell people, if you don't want to answer a tourist question, just have them call me.
All right, prior to taking a vote to go forward with this, we need to give staff some direction so they can work together to get this project started, have a consensus on something, rather than coming up with 6 different ideas that 6 different people like, because that is not going to work.
I agree.
So maybe Glenn and a few other people, we meet
Okay.
once in a while.
Just as a straw poll, shit, I don't even, excuse my French.
Oy. Ouch.
One thing that might help is that we have to come up with just a single-page synopsis of actually what is on each map, written out.
Okay, I can do, that's pretty easy.
It's going to cover from here to here,
Yeah.
and this map, is supposed to have squares on it to put stuff on. The other map is just Old Town and it lists what's going, just a little bit of a couple paragraphs, and then Pat or Glenn can email them to us, and we could have that to kind of visualize what both sides of the map look like.
I have a better idea. Why don't I send you back with them, and if you could fill out and write all the names, okay? Because that's what I need somebody to do. Otherwise, you can send me a list and I can do all the legwork. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay, because that's how I normally start the map, is I hand draw the map first, and then we put it into graphics. So
Put them together into one thing.
it's easier to visualize it once you have all the names written, because then I put buildings with it, and it gives me an idea of if I'm going to be overcrowding it, or, so.
Okay, do we have a consensus to let Glenn coordinate this to get the initial map started to be sent to us? Kathy?
I'm in agreement. Sure.
Then we need to make a decision on which option we want to go with, the 6,000 or the 10,000.
Do we want businesses here? Yes.
Is that open to discussion? Is that, you want to open that to discussion before the other ones?
Okay, we're in discussion on
Or
the whole
this,
thing.
for the fees?
Well, we're in discussion for the whole thing.
I got a comment on the fee.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the fees are basically $365. You can read that for 6, $325 for 10. That's $40 an ad difference. I can't see where, if somebody's gonna spend 365 or 325, 365 is not going to bother them. And, you know, all we have to pay up front is $6,000.
Correct.
I don't see the advantage, you know, we're going to lose, well, now we're not going to lose, but our investment's going to be $4,000 less with the customer paying $40 a year more.
Just out of curiosity, do the numbers balance out? Either option A or B? Do they, at the end, sum up total the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I
it's-
thought. I just,
It'd be really good if you could go to a customer and be $295, but I'm pretty sure with like a 365, I can sell them
I
on
just
$1 a
don't know
day.
how many boxes you have on here, so that's
Yeah,
why.
yeah, on that one, there should be about 120. Just depends on how many, depending on how the map's drawn, if I put more to the left or right or bottom.
This is just a matter of how much do we want to put up front?
And something that we get into, we've always gotten into discussion points on that kind of drives me crazy. This is something we'll pay for a startup fee for a map that's used all over the United States. I pick them up in Ruidoso and Santa Fe, everywhere I go, and it gives you an idea of where to find the things you're looking for if you're in town or you're a tourist. To me, if we spend $10,000 to get this started up and get it out there and it works, it should generate enough income to carry itself. And then we have it in place. We have nothing in place right now for people to use. And that is our purpose is to generate revenue for the businesses and generate new businesses in the city. And spending $10,000 on it, to me, is a good investment. We had arguments about doing Google 360. We spent $8,000 or $10,000 a year on that, and that's the best thing we've ever done for the individual businesses. And in the overall scheme of things, it's very reasonable. But it's whichever way y'all want to go on it.
If you want to see my packet, this is what I present to people. I give them a nice packet that illustrates. So I give them a really comprehensive packet. Has all the information in there. They can pick what size they want, tells them what they get. It's, took me 5 months to come up with that, but I finally got it right.
How long does it typically take you to fill up all the ad boxes?
Depends on the season and how aggressive I am. So, being that it's coming on Christmas time and budgets, the idea would be send out an email to everybody with letting them know we'll follow up. Those that don't automatically respond, we know we have to go see them, and then follow up in January. So, that's the tentative process right now.
It's on the back. If that one you gotta pick. They had to shit, tell me.
So,
You want to have a
let's-
motion?
let's have a motion for one number or the other, and we'll vote it up or down. If we don't like that one, we'll vote on the other. Whatever the consensus is, consensus is.
Okay, I do have one comment. I haven't seen this MOU, and I thumbed through it, and I do have some concerns on here. So if y'all vote to approve this tonight, I would ask that y'all defer to myself to review it and amend it as necessary, because there are some things in here I'm not okay with.
That's okay with you? Okay.
I mean, we would work together to come up to something mutual, but I mean, it hasn't been reviewed by myself or an attorney yet, so.
Now, it was Rocket Lawyer, and then I had another lawyer look at it briefly, so I would imagine there's a few things that need to be changed.
Okay.
So I appreciate that.
Okay, do you have a motion?
Yeah, I move we go with option one.
And sign a contract pending Rick's review and both parties coming to agreement on the contract.
I second that.
Okay, that would be for
Option one.
funding the $6,000 rather than the 10. Any more discussion on it? Question, all in favor?
Aye.
I would like all of us to be able to review it when it does come through, not just have one or two people. I want all of us to be here.
Okay, all opposed? Okay, motion carries to sign the contract once the two parties have agreed on terms. Rick is the executive director of the EDC, so once that's done, he can sign the contract, and we're committed to fund $6,000 within the context of this amended contract. Is what we're doing, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now, just point of information. Rick, when would you give her a check, cut her a check, or something like this?
That's gonna be something that I wanna talk with her about.
Okay. Now, her,
I'm not-
her answer back is, I'm gonna get you a check, and I'm gonna have this, or this for you by this date.
Yeah, those are the types of things that I want to be itemized within the contract. I believe the distribution is not in there, either, so those hard numbers
Yeah.
are important, and that's what will be included in the contract
Dates,
before it's
et
signed.
cetera. I agree.
So if we can have the first date by Thanksgiving, it should be good.
Next week, yeah.
Next Thursday, a week from today.
With all recommended changes.
We should be able to possibly have the contract done by then. We'd have time to start working on the details and the graphics in December. If we don't start on it in December, we're not gonna have it out.
Won't happen in time.
Right, Matthew?
You're welcome. Yeah, we are too.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is discussion of an action on the EDC Development Plan update for quarter ending of September 30th to be presented to the City Council on December 13th. Basically, what this is just an update for City Council on everything we've been doing this year and what we have ongoing, and I thought it would be beneficial for all the new members to go through that, so you've got more of a starting point to know where we are and what we're doing at this time. Could we have a motion to discuss, please, for item 7?
I so move.
Second.
Moved by Bill, seconded by Matthew to discuss item 7. Glenn has a PowerPoint presentation on this. I guess you got this on PowerPoint, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we have more detail to go along with the items in here. Let Glenn go ahead and get started with it. And
Oh,
Glenn and Rick and I can answer questions as we go through it.
point of question. We can all read this, but can you point up to us what's different than in the past? In other words, the city council's already approved, 1 and 2. We don't need to go over 1 and 2. We can go over 3, and we can read 1 and 2. We know what 1 and 2 is. You follow me?
Well, the new members don't know
Well-
what any of it is, Bill,
Yeah, but if the
other
city,
than what they've read.
yeah, but if the city's already approved it,
City Council hasn't seen this yet. They're gonna see
No.
it in December. It got
okay,
postponed.
okay.
What-
I thought it was a,
What this is, Mr. Putty, is that we are required to give council on a quarterly basis an update on the work that the EDC has accomplished.
Right.
And so this, city council has approved this work plan, but all it does is say what we have done to accomplish
Okay,
those
okay.
thus far.
My
And so I
misunderstanding.
think that's what Glenn is gonna go cover today.
okay?
Absolutely. So some of this, I wasn't planning on going word for word, point for point, because it would probably take us a little over an hour to get through. I did put together a PowerPoint to go over some of the actual collateral material and examples of things that we've done to highlight the outcomes. So part of Goal 1 was developing industry targets. The first thing we had done, and I know the contract has expired, but this is work that's been done over the last 3 years. We partnered with Retail Strategies. They're a retail consultant and recruitment company. And they helped us identify a list of companies that their metrics matched Helotes demographics. So they are candidates to relocate in Helotes. And so that's our primary target list. And okay. A lot of the ways we meet those people are through conferences. When we had retail strategies, I mean, they did have a list of their real estate directors and everything. And we reach out to brokers to provide information in our relocation package for businesses. Since that contract was not renewed for 2019 fiscal year, we are currently accepting RFPs, RFQs for brokerage services for retail recruitment. I think to date, we've only received one packet. The deadline is Friday. Yeah, the deadline's Friday, I think at 3 or 4 p.m. So hopefully we'll get a couple more and we'll review those and see how they compare to previous contracts, and then we'll present those to the EDC for one of our subsequent meetings.
Where are we advertising those RFQs?
So I did 2 ads in the Business Journal. That was relatively inexpensive for public notice. I also sent that to the list of brokerage firms that represent Helotes. Sent it to prior consulting companies that have either done work for us or expressed an interest in doing work here in Helotes. Also sent it to the CCIM and asked them to send it to their list. I don't. Commercial, I don't even know the full acronym. So all commercial brokerage, it's an organization that majority of them belong to. So it's something new. No one else has actually approached it the same way we're doing it right now. So, and we left it pretty open-ended for companies to be creative, because we're just kind of curious what could be out there. What kind of deal can we structure?
And the idea there was that in the past, we paid money before the services were actually rendered. The idea here is to have the services rendered and then pay them a commission so that we have something tangible.
Are there any industries that we're opposed to bringing into Helotes? Is there any historical background in that area?
Right now, we don't have any industrial zoning in Helotes, so no manufacturing. Outside of that, it's pretty open.
Okay.
So we do tailor our incentives. I listed kind of the main ones that we have in our arsenal. There are a few other ones we can always discuss with clients. Chapter 380 agreements allows both the city and the EDC to contribute either sales tax reimbursements, property tax reimbursements, cash grants, permit fee reductions. It's the easiest agreement, and you can put various clawback provisions in it. There is one tax abatement program in Old Town for expansions. Site planning assistance is something new that we've done in 2018, and we plan on continuing here in 2019. We have funding for it. If we do get a prospect that's looking at a site, we're going through a couple right now, but there may be an environmental concern or there's topographic concern. We've got a contract. We can give them a real rough estimate, a pro forma on site development costs, so they can compare it to another site around and see if it still works out, if it pencils. Something new we'll be able to offer is impact fee credits, and that's due to the water and sewer line that were built from Circle A down to Scenic Loop. And if those of you that aren't familiar, SAWS charges water and sewage impact fees to businesses. Depending on the size connection, they can be quite expensive. And since the city paid for the water and sewer line, in essence for SAWS, we're given the valuation in impact fee credits. So we can either sell those to businesses to recoup the money, or you can offer it as an incentive for the business to develop. And then building permit fee reductions, that's usually rolled into Chapter 380 agreements if we do it.
Basically, the only ones we impact are the 380 agreement where we can give back a portion of the sales tax. The rest of those fees have to come from the city directly.
So next. So in goal 2, we had was gateway signage. That one's a little bit in limbo right now just because of all the TxDOT improvements that have been going on. They don't really want to give an answer or commit until the construction's complete. They don't know well, up until probably more recently.
Thought those 2 new posts down there near 1604 were welcome to Lotus going across there.
That would be pretty cool.
$250,000 posts, almost.
It's a nice gateway sign. If we can have them add a third post,
Talk
maybe,
about
I'll let you know how much
overkill.
that costs. Probably $1 million.
That's just for y'all for background. One of the goals was set last year on the joint meeting with council was to come up with a plan and put some monument signs for Helotes, like Leon Valley and a lot of other cities have a sign coming in that says, "Welcome to Helotes." We're evaluating we're trying to get approval to put it on state property, but they won't do anything till they get through with the construction projects to look at it. The other option is to go to private property, and at this point, our instructions have been to wait till we get an answer from TxDOT before we approach private individuals to do it.
I agree, yeah.
I've had a little heartburn with that to start with. I don't think that's a worthwhile expenditure of EDC money to put up monument signs. But when we get to that, we can address that with the city on funding when we get to that point.
Okay, next one. Now we're just showing one potential location. So I know under external marketing, there were some goals identified for geo-tracking through retail strategies. We did that by GPS on your handy little iPhone mobile device. Honestly, it was kind of surprising. It's hard to see on this one, and I'm sorry I do not have printed copies. I'm happy to send this out to anyone to see how far people actually live. So there's a whole algorithm behind it to see where time is spent in what time period to determine where they work, where they sleep, possibly where they're shopping. And it helps identify our retail trade area. That's kind of, the top map is the heat map, and then the bottom one is showing every ping from one of the towers. Anyway.
Probably, that data will probably help you determine what to put on the map.
That would do it, right there.
Okay, next. And then also part of our external marketing is promoting commercial properties available for sale or lease here in Helotes. We've recently, this last year, partnered with LoopLink. 2018 was our first year. They're part of LoopNet and CoStar. Their structure's changed here recently. It used to be on LoopNet, any property was listed in LoopNet for free. Now, you have to pay. And there are 2 large commercial brokerage houses in San Antonio that are refusing to play ball. CBRE is one of them, and they're one of the largest. But we do have a list of properties, and that's kind of what's in the middle of the screen. On the right-hand side, you'll see featured properties, and those are ones that we've used our site planning assistance. We're given marketing collateral. We have videos, we have flyers generated for each of those properties, and we feature them on there. Or also on YouTube.
Is that a recent link? Is that a recent page?
2 months ago, I believe.
Oh, because I'm looking at the KFC there as an available property. Is
Yes.
that closed?
It's not closed.
Oh, okay.
No.
No, franchisees will put them up for sale immediately after they build them to see
Cash flow.
if somebody's gonna pay them a dollar.
Gotcha,
amount.
okay.
It's not unusual.
Okay.
Yeah, we have Sonic and the Slim Chickens that are also for sale. And it's not the franchise that's for sale, it's the land and they.
Right.
Okay. Next. And then the EDC website providing user-friendly information. We do have drive time maps and statistics. I just took a screenshot of this. And then on the right-hand side, if they need some more detailed information, we have a quick facts, we've got executive summaries, retail leakage reports, a residential growth map, which is really good for most retailers to see the subdivisions that are under construction, the number of homes, the ones that are in pre-planning stages. They can just see the growth pattern. Next. Every couple of years, we do our own traffic analysis here in Helotes to identify, obviously, all the major streets. TxDOT only does it like every 10 years, so it's not as reliable. And we contract that through LNV Engineering to hire AC Group. So currently, there's about 43,000, kind of by the Walmart, and then it tapers off a little bit at 42. You cannot see on this image, as far as I can tell from here. There's about 25,000 cars a day closer down my scenic loop on Bandera Road, and about 2,800 cars a day on Old Bandera Road going through Old Town. That's what Pat was alluding to earlier. Last time we did this report, there's only 1,800 cars. So it's seen an increase by 1,000 per day. Per day. Yes. Next one.
Because everybody's told to turn right. You know what I'm saying, right?
U-turn, go home.
It says turn right. Which right?
The residential growth map that we have, obviously on the screen, it's hard to see. I've got larger maps at the office, and we usually take 11 by 17 to the shows. There's a yellow dot for each house that's been complete. And then it gives you the total number of homes in each particular subdivision. Next. I know goal 4 was, hold on 1 second.
The 3. Did you do 3? Yeah.
Yeah, that was commercial growth strategy.
Okay.
This is leveraging our partnerships. This information comes from Bear County Economic Development. They hire, or they contract with Esri, and we all have access to log in and print out any report Esri has. We can do it drive time, radial, we can draw our own map on there and it'll pull the information. We can get leakage reports, that's what the one on the right-hand side is, or just general demographic information. And also use that to compare different locations. Next. I am looking at a couple of new software tools that would both provide an easier user-friendly interface. And I'm a fan of infographics. I think it absorbs a little quicker than an Excel spreadsheet. This particular one would also have a component of listing commercial properties. Next. That's an example of some of the site planning work that we help with developers or property owners trying to market their sites. This one is the corner of Hausman Road and Bandera. On the map, there's 2 different versions. One is doing 2 smaller strip center buildings, and one's doing a pad site for a restaurant in the strip center. And we have a couple of prospects because of this, looking at that site.
And this is a contract we have with Manhard. We'll take, the developer will tell you what he wants to put on it, and the Manhard will actually do a site plan to this degree, would show you where you have the building location, the trees, the parking lot, and give them some better idea. And this is free to the contractor from the city, or to the broker.
And it provides a pro forma, so it breaks down their site development costs.
Right.
Pretty good.
Next
tool.
one. That's a sample of a poster. So each of the projects that we've contracted with, we get the posters and put that up in the EDC offices, which is also our local visitor center. Next. I hope the next one works. So, I guess we'll try.
There you go.
Ooh. Do we have sound or no sound? The sound adds another level. So we've contracted with Neon Cloud Productions to do hopefully 2 videos here in Helotes, one for promoting commercial properties and then one for tourism. This is just an example of what they've done in San Angelo.
It made San Angelo look okay.
Exactly, looks really nice.
Yeah.
Can we go visit?
It's pretty flat.
Have you ever been to San Angelo?
It's pretty flat.
There's also
Got
nothing.
tumbleweeds. Might get you. And it floods.
So they can drop buildings, future developments in on a video to show how you can expand. It's too much.
There's a man with a hearing aid.
So all the buildings, the trains flying and stuff, it's motion graphics that are included. It's just usually about a minute and 20, minute and a half video that they can put together.
So what's the chances of getting Willie to do a video for us?
Pretty slim.
Say that again?
Have you seen him lately?
He might not want him on
Oh,
video.
Have you seen him lately? Yeah.
I can always reach out, but yeah, the odds. I've talked to Floors before to try to get him to do stuff, and yeah, it's very difficult. It usually doesn't get to Willie is the problem.
Or somebody
It,
close.
it gets to his people, and then the price goes up. That's good. Can we?
Okay.
Then we have the growth management plan that we had done back in 2017. Some of that's kind of changing because of legislation, but it identified key development areas and kind of a guide on which priority areas we should target first. And the reason I say the legislation's made that somewhat difficult. I know we're a type A general law, so we don't have the ability to annex anyway, but if we would have become home rule, and that's part of this plan assumed we would become home rule, at the time, we could go out and annex property. Now you have, if you want to annex, you have to take a vote of that area. So it becomes a little bit more challenging, as we've seen in San Antonio. Residents typically turn it down. Next. This is one of our marketing tools. It's our prospect packet that we've put together. It doesn't highlight the way it really looks, but there's kind of a leather look to it. The embossing of the Helotes EDC logo. Obviously, we've got a map on the inside to show where Helotes is in relation to San Antonio. There's the brochure in there is a really nice piece that highlights some of the local businesses and their stories, like El Chaparral and Elf Hardware, that we're a family-friendly community, and a couple of key statistics. And then we put a letter from the mayor and some other information in there tailored to each prospect. Next. And then I'll hit on the visitor center briefly. I don't have a slide on that one. I will be coordinating a meeting with the Historical Society, myself and Pat, and then the Chamber of Commerce to see if we can come to some type of understanding on how that could move forward. I think the biggest concern me and Pat have talked about is cost, and can those other organizations actually contribute enough to make it worthwhile? Because it definitely, my opinion would be, it shouldn't be something that EDC fronts all of, if we were to consider something. But that's a long-term goal.
Yeah, that's a long-term. The initial direction on it was to look at buying, or hopefully, which is not possible, getting property donated and building a building. And we're to build what we would need, you're gonna be looking at $1.5 million, $2 million project, and that's why we added into this to evaluate cost once we get to that point versus rentings. There are some properties in Old Town that you could probably rent for $3,000 a month that would give you everything you need, rather than putting $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million worth of capital into a building and then end up being a landlord for somebody else. I don't think so. Good expenditure of money, but that's up to the board.
So the next one will be the Goal 5, internal marketing. So I work with Andrea Wazir here at the City of Helotes. She's kind of the public relations specialist. She does all of their social media and coordinates the marketing efforts. Last year, and we've kind of got it on the calendar to go ahead and book again this year. We sit down, we have all the city events, we've got things that the EDC wants to market, and we figure out, let me go to the next slide. You can kind of see that. Where to allocate the resources. You know, city's got a defined marketing budget. We have a marketing budget. And whether that's digital, and we did break digital out with social media separate because digital is very broad. Whether or not you're doing AdWords, you're doing SEO, you're doing pre-roll, you're getting on YouTube or a lot of different aspects. And then social, we really focus on our main ones, Facebook, we're starting to look at Instagram, and Twitter are the ones that the city usually uses. And then we have a spot on there for TV, although TV is more really just us getting the videos produced. Print cost, buying in other publications. Photos, it's something that we have lagged behind a little bit, is having professional photography from all the events that we can use to market. And then 5% for other. Just if something new comes up, someone pitches an idea. I know we've tried working with some influencers, Alamo City Mom blogs, and some other things, since women are the decision makers on events. So we'll probably be doing that again. Now that I guess we made a decision tonight, that was one of the ideas, was to work with Bird's Eye View to give us another marketing tool for tourism. And then I threw in the Google 360 because not only is that an incentive to our businesses, it's definitely a tool that the end user, the consumer, can utilize. If you're looking for a business, it does help with Google rankings, even though it's hard to get Google to confirm it. It's part of the algorithm. If you, anytime you search something, this is embedded in the Shop Helotes site. It's given to the business to upload in their website. We get professional photos of the business, and obviously just the tour itself in the Google Maps.
Are any of the businesses doing this themselves?
Paying for it separately.
Yeah, themselves.
There's a few that have done it prior, before we started our program.
So we're offering that to businesses now?
We are. We currently have it available.
And we get it for a price that's about a third of what the business would have to pay for it. It's a one-time expense, and so haven't been a single business owner that wasn't satisfied, if not ecstatic, with the results they've had from it, just to have it as a marketing tool.
I will say per business, again, it depends if they're a small, medium, or large business, but it's $143 per unit. 1 unit is a small business, 2 units is a medium, and 3 units is a large.
Right.
So it's a really inexpensive cost to us.
It doesn't matter how many impressions or hits they get on that hit there
Our cost, no. Now,
for the business.
our Google photographer, on his back end, he can actually tell you how many views
Yeah.
on the video or on the picture links, and it's pretty impressive.
He's probably running AdSense on the back end. That's why I was asking.
Maybe.
Okay.
Would he ever disclose
Amazing how many people
his San
get you.
Antonio clients versus us,
Side.
the data?
Expose?
Disclose?
Oh, disclose.
Share.
You probably could.
He started out about 3 years ago, and we were one of the first customers he had, so I think he's gotten Bernie and
He's done a few. I know he's been out to Live Oak.
small cities. I think mostly what he's concentrated on. I don't know that he is actually marketing it in San Antonio. That may
No,
be some
not
big
San
marketing
Antonio.
group doing that.
I'm just asking in general because the work that I do with Google is data-based. And the numbers almost, they don't lie, number one, and they provide clarity for the strategy. And if
It's
he
a-
has that
It's
access
a
to
value
that
add
data,
also for
yeah.
businesses that are interested in coming into Helotes. So that's a selling point. You're looking at all the other traffic of businesses coming in. You could put that on the paper and say, here you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, he likes keeping it kind of small. I mean, he's a one-man shop. And he does,
It's simple, you can just push it all to AdSense and that's it.
yeah.
I mean, you can see all those demographics.
And then goal 6 was create an MDD. We've hit a couple of roadblocks we're trying to get past. So our ETJ is currently being assessed a sales tax by VIA, which is, that's the bus system. Can't remember what the percentage is. So that, our ETJ is already currently maxed out on sales tax, so we cannot impose anything else.
0.5%, isn't it?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So for us to do it, VIA has to relinquish all of the Helotes ETJ area from that sales tax, and then we could hold an election to impose our MDD sales tax. We've had a couple of meetings with VIA. I think we're still waiting on a response. The impression I got is it's not likely. They've never released area before.
Ironic thing about it is, they provide no service in that area, yet they're collecting the sales tax for it.
That's the biggest ripoff.
Interesting.
And we have managed to do that in the past, but the only way you can accomplish it is exhaust your possibilities with them and then go to individual legislators
Right.
and get it to the point that the legislature may pass something, and rather than that happening, VIA might acquiesce and give it to us. That's probably about our only option.
Yeah, unless we annex. I mean, VIA said if the city of Helotes went out and annexed all that territory, I mean, by law, they relinquish.
Yeah, but we've got to get the people to vote.
Well,
to do
exactly,
it.
so just the likelihood.
A little tough to do. We have gotten a couple of subdivisions in recently, and it's just hard to give any incentive to the builders putting them in are not going to come in the city, 'cause they don't have to pay anybody a building permit when they're building in the county.
Are there any other questions?
Very good.
Just as a final point on this is just a very cursory overview of some of the things we've done in the last year. If anybody is interested, Glenn has all the detail on this at the office if you want to go by and visit with him and get more detail on it. And you can see a lot more of see what the actual information is. It's pretty hard to pick it out off the screen.
Yep.
And we probably, in January, our January meeting, we'll probably have another goal-setting session for this year to set our goals for 2017, or 18-19. And I'd like to task everybody in the room, especially the new people we've got here, have got a lot of different background and expertise, to come up with some ideas on things the EDC can do to benefit the city and the existing businesses and bring new businesses in. We've, up until this year, just as background, we'd been paying the city $150,000 a year on the sewer and water project. They didn't have the funding to get it off the ground, so we did that for 3 years. So this year, we do actually have some money to spend, have more available revenue coming in to do some meaningful projects. But I'd really like to get some more input from everybody on ideas to do that, where we could use that in the planning meeting in January. If you've got any ideas, we may do a Saturday meeting. We've done that in the past. Or I'd rather do it at a regular meeting. I don't think we'll, I don't know how long and drawn out it'll be. And I don't know if we have to have the city there or not, generally.
Do we have to
Have the city
I don't
with
think
us.
we have to have the city at our planning meeting.
No, you don't need to have city council there.
Just invite them.
You can invite them. I just think it's easier because they're gonna have to approve the plan, so if they're invested in the plan, then they're more likely to approve it. But that's your decision.
But we can do it, we can decide what we want to do on that. It just makes it a lot more drawn-out process, and frankly, puts some projects in there that don't have any economic benefit. And the last thing we have on the agenda is a review of,
Have number 8, reschedule.
discussion, okay, number 8 is discussion and action on rescheduling or canceling the EDC meeting in December. Could we have a motion to discuss, please?
Motion, discuss.
Moved and seconded. We normally don't have a December meeting. We're coming right up on Christmas. And I don't know that we didn't put on the agenda this month to elect officers. We'll need to do that at the next meeting, or we can do it whenever the next meeting is. We need to discuss that, I guess, at the time. But it's all up to everybody here if they want to have a December meeting or not. But for Christmas, a lot of people have family in and are traveling. Kathy?
Do you want a motion?
No.
So I'm going like,
Okay.
no,
Go
December.
ahead. Go ahead.
I move we cancel
Want to do it, or you want me to?
our December meeting.
I second.
Moved and seconded.
No
Discussion.
December meeting.
Agreed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Yeah. I'm going like,
Don't want to
no
break tradition.
December.
We will have a lot to do in January.
Yeah.
We need to,
When we're
I
all,
think, we've got some new direction going on, some things I think is positive, and we need to come up with some more new ideas of things to do since we have the money to do it now. We have item 9 is just staff update on, well, the EDC restated and amended articles of incorporation and current planned commercial development in the city. If Glenn or Rick want to address that?
The first item on there is the EDC did approve amendments to the Articles of Incorporation regarding residency. Those have been forwarded to the City Council, and just to let you know, City Council will likely take that up they were going to take it up in December. Now, I understand that you are going to be out of town for their December meeting, and so we may push that, most likely we'll push that back to January for them to discuss and take action on that residency requirement. So that was the only thing.
Okay. And then the second item, we have current and planned commercial developments within the city of Helotes. There's kind of a simple Excel spreadsheet in your packet under item 9. Be the second page. Gives a list of the businesses that have recently opened in Helotes. I will say Navy Federal Credit Union will be having a grand opening on the 20th of November. So that'll be coming up. I'll make sure to get an email out to everyone for those of you that can attend.
Which one is that?
Navy Federal Credit Union.
Okay, okay, that's open.
The other ones that have recently opened, El Rodeo Mexican Grill, which is across the street, used to be the Grand Patron. Healing Hands Family Care is down the street in our 2-story Hill Country Crossing. Great Harvest, we'll knock on wood, should be opening soon. Soon for the last 6 months.
I drive by all the time looking for it to be open.
It's always next month, so we're eager to get that one. And then you've probably seen the signs for 46th Street Pizza and Pat Barn that are doing their tenant finish out. One of the other tenants in that same strip center will be Bandera Road Cafe. They're going to relocate. And there's also a pediatrician that'll be taking over space. That strip center was pre-leased before construction commenced. So I can
Wow.
tell you an idea of the demand in the area. It's just taking some time. Some of those tenants, because of the timing, have pushed their finish out dates back a little bit to get out of the holidays. There's obviously a site that used to be the old Comerica Bank that's going up. That one, 8,000 square feet roughly. I know the last I had heard there was 80% pre-leased. I think you only had 1,500 square feet left. The Bitters property, that is the one, if y'all are not familiar, it's roughly 13 acres of land next to the Pizza Hut along Bandera and then Hausman. So it's got most frontage along Hausman Road. In general, that project is on hold. We are trying to work with Mr. Bitter, the property owner, to get some developers to help kickstart it and get it back on. So I'll keep you updated as we move forward. Texas Premier Capital, that property, it's where Ooh La La used to be, it's Longhorn Irrigation, it's a blue building, right, near Two Fat Guys, Bobby J's, and then there's Long Strip, roughly 5 acres. 1 acre of that site will be O'Reilly Auto Parts, and then the balance, we've got 2 building strip center, and a daycare coming in, and then a few other tenants. And that one, the developer actually walked away from that site due to some site concerns over O'Reilly and the way O'Reilly is excavating down 9 feet so they can match their grade back to Riggs Road. They need their 18-wheelers to come in from Bandera and leave down Riggs. Can't exceed 10 to 13% roughly. So that's why they're grading down 9 feet. That then put the developer, Texas Premier Capital, how does he match O'Reilly? How does he get cross easement access? So since we have the site program with the EDC, we had Manhard take a look at it, and they provided an alternative that he's comfortable with that was not as expensive as he had anticipated. So we were able to bring him back to the table, and he's got, like I said, 2 LOIs for sure on that property. Should be seeing something in the next 2 months on permitting. And as of this period, no businesses have closed. We do have a couple of prospects.
What's the place? What is that?
The place is where Compass Bank, so there's 2.5 acres on the corner.
Right.
There's a couple of good prospects that we're trying to get in there. The biggest thing is land price, so
Okay.
they've all got to make the numbers work.
All
We do have, one of our focuses the last year was trying to get some office. We do have a couple of office users that are looking at Helotes and we're working with. They're in their kind of due diligence period right now, so can't identify the sites.
And our bridge isn't done yet? All right.
The short end of it is FEMA came back with comments, we responded to those comments. They came back with additional comments, we have responded to those comments as of yesterday, and so we should be almost to the end of FEMA approval on that project.
What is their concern?
That's the bridge in Old Town, putting a pedestrian bridge in
No,
Old
no, I know
Town.
what it is, but what is FEMA's concern?
We are placing the pedestrian bridge in the 100-year FEMA floodplain. If you look at Old Bandera Road, the FEMA floodplain, if I recall correctly, goes up 4 to 6 feet above Old Bandera Road. And so we are trying to do a CLOMAR, conditional letter of map revision, so that they will allow us to build that pedestrian bridge at the same height as the existing vehicular bridge.
Because if not, what's the alternative?
Because if the way that it was originally designed would be essentially a stairwell,
You'd have to raise a bridge 5 feet above grade.
the bottom of the bridge would have been 4 or 5 feet above the existing vehicular bridge, which means then you add another foot or 2 feet, so you'd have
Goes out farther.
10 feet, people 10 feet up in the air above the bridge.
Got it.
We just didn't think it would look aesthetically pleasing.
It would be very Los Angeles. That's how
Is
they
it
have
like, can it not be insured, or, if since it's down?
No, that's why you have to go through the CLOMAR
CLOMAR.
process, because then FEMA will revise the floodplain to reflect that bridge.
Need a sign it.
They essentially revise the floodplain and say, okay, you've proved your case, you can go ahead and build it, and it doesn't affect the city's ability to provide flood insurance to residents that need it.
Okay, when's the last time it's gone over that area, the
It
flood?
it has never gone, well, in the last 50 to 60 years of recorded history, it's never gone over the bridge.
And we've had
Oh, because it's coming.
more than 100-year
It's
floods on
coming.
several occasions.
50 or 60.
And when I say recorded history, there's actually a USGS monitoring station right there that
Sure.
measures the height of that water, and it's never gone above the bridge.
Okay.
That station has been there so long, that little green building is built with square nut bolts.
Crazy.
Are we optimistic that they're going to approve it?
Yes.
We'll probably have to do some revision because of the time, but we had already let a contract to do it. Had the prices tied in for the bridge and everything to get it done, and then this,
That's 2 years ago.
yeah, it's been a couple of years, so we'll probably have to rebid it again, I imagine.
Those bid prices are still good.
And if the bid prices are still good, we'll get a bargain by today's standards.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay.
Any more questions on developments? In that case, we are adjourned at 9:15 PM.